Do I stress you out? My sweater is on backwards and inside out, and you say, how appropriate. I don't want to dissect everything today. I don't mean to pick you apart, you see, but I can't help it. And there I go, jumping before the gunshot has gone off. Slap me with the splintered ruler, and it would knock me to the floor if I wasn't there already. If only I could hunt the hunter. And all I really want is some patience, a way to calm the angry voice. And all I really want is deliverance. Do I wear you out? You must wonder why I'm relentless and all strung out. I'm consumed by the chill of solitary. I'm like a Stella. I like to reel it in and then spit it out. I'm frustrated by your apathy, and I am frightened by the corrupted ways of this land. If only I could meet the maker. And I am fascinated by the spiritual man. I'm humbled by his humble nature. Yeah. And what I wouldn't give to find a soulmate, someone else to catch this drift. And what I wouldn't give to meet a kindred. Enough about me. Let's talk about you for a minute. Enough about you. Let's talk about life for a while. The conflicts, the craziness, and the sound of pretense is falling all around. All around. Why are you so petrified of silence? Here, can you handle this? Did you think about your bills, your ex, your deadlines, or when you think you're gonna die? Or did you long for the next distraction? And all I need now is intellectual intercourse, a soul that dig the hole much deeper. And I have no concept of time other than it is dying. If only I could kill the killer. And all I really want is some peace, man. A place to find a common ground. And all I really want is a wavelength. And all I really want is some comfort. A way to get my hands untied. And all I really want is some justice.
Hi, you guys. I don't know how I just I've got two people right now. That's cool. This is not my normal time to live stream, but that's okay. I just kind of felt spontaneous, like that song. I was trying to figure out what am I going to open with, and I thought, Alanis Morissette, the Jagged Little Pill. I love that song. I like the silent part. I think Alanis Morissette was one of our first angry women, and the whole thing with the "You Oughta Know" song is, actually based on, you probably already heard this already because it's already, online. It's Dave Coulier. And I'm just like, when I first heard that, I was like, really? Like all that anger just for a comedian? But when you look back at it and you read articles now about she did date Dave Coulier, and she was quite a bit younger than him. I think she was like I've seen some publications say 15. I've seen other publications say 17. The one I read recently was she was 17 and it was legal. However, I think he was like in his 30s or something like that. And the line where she says, I didn't mean to bug you during dinner and you ought to know. There's an article where Dave Coulier says that she called me in the middle of dinner one time. And I said, sorry, I'm in the middle of a dinner. I can't really talk to you right now. And I guess like maybe, the article, I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it seemed like, I have regret over that. So, this live stream, I titled it Blocking Sarah Rachel Adams on TikTok and Splenda. I guess I said Sarah R. Adams because, Rachel just takes up too much space, like if we're trying to make your title shorter, you take out, because Sarah R. Adams is how she communicated with me on TikTok. And, oh, Lee Guy says, I haven't heard this for freaking forever. Yeah, I know. I hadn't either. And and it kind of popped into my head. It's one of those great albums. I guess you say albums still, even though like nobody ever plays any real albums anymore. Isn't that right? Like but album, I guess the word album has just become a part of nomenclature, All right, so I will continue and try to stay on point in the conversation here, so I don't take too much of your time over frivolous bullshit. But it really isn't frivolous in a way, and this is the why I'm doing it, because I'm not meaning to do a video like, oh, she did this and she did that and blah, blah, because I've done those before, and I kind of feel like I've like grown up since then. But I gotta say, Sarah, always gives me material. Like, I wouldn't have been live streaming today if I was thinking, I go, hey, thank you, Sarah, for giving me, material to talk about other than Alec Baldwin. But he's coming up next with the Splenda packet thing. So, I guess maybe the main thing I want to say right now about the whole Alec Baldwin thing is like, it's about the Splenda packet. Like the Splenda packet thing is just like, why? And it's like viral, it's like Splenda, they must be making a shitload of money right now. It's like all we have on our brain right now is Splenda and Alec Baldwin. Seriously, well, here's Sarah took me to the glory portal. Oh, did she now? I didn't know there was a glory portal. Tell me more, Lee. Can you give me a little more information on the glory? What is that a euphemism for? Because I'm not. Is it kind of something sexual? I'm not sure. What is am I like, woo? What's the glory portal? You know what I'm saying? Take me to my glory portal, please. I bet you can't find my glory portal. There's a whole bunch of ways that you can think about that, right? The glory portal. Oh, gee. Okay. All right. So where was I? At one point I was talking about Dave Coulier and Alanis Morissette, and then I was going into to Sarah Rachel Adams. But the whole thing with Dave Coulier being dating her, and then to think about, then it makes sense, right? Then you realize, well, that's where the rage is, because here he was like 30 years old and she was 17, and maybe he was like her first love. And, she was just a plaything for him. So then like when she called him and he says, well, I'm in the middle of dinner, and, just blew her off, that must've been just like devastating. and to think that like he quickly moved on, like as if, he just got rid of tissue paper, you know what I mean? And so I think that, I don't know. I think that as a woman, we've all been there. And, at some point we're like, wow, I meant that little to that guy. And at that time, especially if you're young, they were freaking everything. So anyway, it's a little bit, I think that Alanis Morissette at that particular time of our culture really resonated with not only women, but also people, because a lot of the themes that she has in her song at that time were universal. Like, I just want some justice. I mean, don't you feel like you just want some justice right now? Like, damn, I just want some justice and I don't get the Splenda thing. You know what I mean? It's like, it's like, well, where is the justice in our world? I mean, that's the thing that really gets me in that song. It's like, I just want some justice. And I know this isn't about Sarah Rachel Adams and, whatever, but, it's just kind of interesting how, like, when you're putting something together, how a synchronicity comes into being, like that song. So I chose that song on purpose, even though, like, if you look at Alanis Morissette at that time, it's very like teenager-ish. It's very childish. And maybe it's because sometimes we think anger is a childish thing. And yet, maybe it isn't. Because anger is necessary. You can funnel anger in a positive way. If there's something that's unjust that angers you, then it motivates you to do something about what is unjust. So anyway, enough of that. Let's get into the dirt. No, okay. So Sarah, who apparently takes people to the glory portal. And if you don't know who Sarah is, if you're new to my channel. I'm not sure who's going to be coming here and for what reason, because I like to talk about different subjects and everything. So, but I have been very into what people call the Super Soldier program, and have watched it, be created in its genesis. When I first saw a video of James Casbolt and Max Spears, it captivated me. Ellen Green, it captivated me. It blew my mind. And something else happened. I want to share this with you for a moment. Just for me, just because I think like we're all kind of interested. Like most of you guys that listen to my channel, I think are into UFOs and the people that have been in the UFO community, and then maybe realizing that they're not all on the level. And then when you realize that people that, you believed in aren't really all on the level, then you end up kind of searching for what really is the truth. And, and so, I didn't come into this like a skeptic, and I couldn't say I actually believed all of it or believed every person's story, but, it's so fascinating. Like there's that one guy, Aaron, whatever, that was like part flipper or something, like part, dolphin. It's like dolphin, and he could swim longer because his lungs were, like blank, blank, blank. And I was just like, wow. Like it just was like they kind of like the things you heard kind of blew your mind. It was like Dr. Moreau or whatever, like the chimeras, and I just think about all of it that were, all the different species of the galactic family, and the draconians and the reptilians, and then at some point, this media like morphed into like Alex Jones' world. It morphed into like almost like a political platform. And so we go on, and then Buonon gets born and associated with it, and then part of the things that we were like watching, like Jordan Maxwell and this and that, and about, the Illuminati and, 9/11 and, JFK conspiracy and all these different things. All of a sudden, as we were in this media, we started to see our world almost like become it. Not totally, but, there is that joke where you're going, yeah, and now all the conspiracy theorists are going, yeah, I told you so, I was right. When things happen like the Jeffrey Epstein thing, or it goes into Ghislaine Maxwell, then you start going, okay, some of this stuff must actually be true. And then you're thinking, well, as to what part of is it true? Like we have politicians. I mean, like Obama came out and said and admitted there are unidentified flying objects. There's more and more, like the Vatican, the Pope says, yeah, there may be ETs, like way back when. So, we have religious leaders actually telling people that, yeah, we might not be the only people that are on the planet, right? So you start to wonder, okay, so what, are there underground bases? Is Montauk really real? Why was there a Netflix series called Stranger Things if it wasn't really real? Or is it that Hollywood is just mimicking, and turning into movies what are just fantasy conspiracies, right? So, you start to really wonder. So when you see people like, James Casbolt, in front of a camera and, in an interview with Carrie Cassidy in a hotel room, Max Spears, talking about something that crosses over into, genetics and the military and, cloning and, you name it. And how where the elite is involved in things where they socially engineer society to have issues with one another because it's a decoy for what they're really doing. Like it's the magician and they're doing something behind their back. You know what I mean? Like all of this philosophy is tied into these, these characters. And, I did an analysis on my last show, about the Super Soldier documentary, like, I infiltrated a bizarre conspiracy theory. And, it's really, I think it's really good, and it shows an aspect of this that is really, really phony. But what if we just pared it down and go, well, what part of this is really real? Right? I mean, in a way, that's kind of like what I'm finding. And in that, as I was watching these things, ironically, I became a part of the media, which is kind of weird for me. It's almost like you're stepping into a world that you were never really a part of at all, had no association to. And then all of a sudden, I'm on a network where I have an opportunity to interview some of these guys or meet them or interact with them. So therefore, the woman, Sarah Rachel Adams, I have a history with. I have a history of interviewing her. I have a history of talking to her for hours on Skype. I have a history of meeting her for dinner in what's that place? It's Malibu, okay, with Haley Meyer and James Casbolt's son was at the dinner, And so I've seen her in person. I mean, it's different if if I'm on the outside and oh gosh, I just got a text. I should have turned that off. It's different if I'm on the outside and I think, and I'm just a person screwing around on YouTube, just because I think that I'm going to get a good algorithm if I put Sarah R. Adams in the title. But not only that, but I interviewed Max before he passed away. And I spoke with him on a regular, off and on we had personal communication, either through Skype or, I was friends with him on Facebook and we how you interact with somebody in the chat on Facebook. And, sometimes, like there's one time it was really nice. He checked in on me. Because I had a little strange experience of my own that I had shared in the media because I've worked in the entertainment industry. And, there are things that, as you start to become aware, you start to go, oh, wait a second here on the inside in some ways. Like I started to realize that my background and my world wasn't what I thought it was. And then as I became aware of those things, all of a sudden those people started revealing to me that that's what basically it was. It's like, oh, now we're going to tell you. But before we would never told you, but now we're going to tell you a few things. And then I realized, well, some of those things are accurate in some respect. Otherwise, and so I just want to throw that out there. So my own self getting attracted to this media, like, taught me a lot of things. Even though I had been in media before, I think in some ways I do have a little bit of better of an understanding of stuff. Although I'm still not totally sure. Like, I don't come on my channel and try to tell you guys, like, I have something I can do for you that's going to make your life better. Like, I don't have that kind of objective. And that's not the reason why I'm interested in creating content on YouTube. So when it comes to Sarah, at some point, Sarah and I had a falling out. And that situation happened when I got to know a woman that was working on the documentary with Kevin Moore about Carrie Cassidy and Captain Mark Richards. And this woman informed me that she was being paid to do Sarah's high-paying psychic services, like psychic readings and stuff like that, and was complaining to me about the price that Sarah was giving her when she was making so much more money. And I had a problem with that. And that was my breaking point. All right. And I have done certain shows about Sarah and things that Sarah has done. And I have shown graphics of conversations and everything, and have been very, very thorough about it. Now, these shows were done on my last channel, which doesn't exist anymore. Now, I do believe that I was able to download those particular shows that I did previously in the past about Sarah after I found out that she really wasn't doing her own psychic readings. Okay. Another thing that happened that really set me off, and I do have the graphic of that, and I did have a video up about it on my other channel, is that Sarah, when the virus came out, she said that she had a homeopathic remedy that had the virus in it, and I was like, no. We didn't even have it, yet, right? We didn't even have that yet. And she was posting this. And I'm like, that's absolutely snake oil salesman type of behavior. Absolutely. And I did a video about it. All right. Now, Sarah, just in case you don't know, and I was talking about the Super Soldier program and the documentary about the Super Soldier program. And there's characters like Max Spears, James Casbolt, James Rink, right? Duncan O'Finian, he's old school, right? All these people coming out to saying that they were in a secret, they were in a Super Soldier program because they had special DNA and special abilities and psychic abilities or whatever. And they were programmed since children to be assassins and killers and this and that, and they can do it with their mind, and they're all magical, and they know about UFOs, and then they can go out and teach everybody what the real spirituality of the world is, right? How that equates to their ability to do that is beyond me, really. But this is partly a woo world, and the UFO community has always blended, the possibility of other extraterrestrials or beings or Palladians or whatever, and their communication with them. They've always mixed that with spirituality and healing that would equate to Jesus Christ. Right? And then you get down to the mysticism of it all, that has to do with like Aleister Crowley and, Aquino and blah, 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 blah. Because this media has just, put these names out into this media and then beyond into other conspiracies that exist. Right? And somewhere, I mean, why would people do this? Why would they do it? Well, somewhere there's money to be made. Could be the only way. And whatever else they do on the internet that they have back channels to make money on, because there's a question about that too. All right. So recently, Sarah, because Sarah and I have gone through like some crazy stuff, Sarah, last year at this time, Sarah was threatening to call my college because I decided to go back to school and get a degree. She was going to tell them that I wasn't who I was, that I was impersonating myself to go to school. And then there was no way that I was a real journalist. Look, I'm not a journalist. All right. I am in school to get a degree in journalism, media, and film, and work on fiction writing and writing a screenplay or whatever, and podcasting and blogging and all, social media and, whatever. But I have never, ever once said I was a journalist. By the way, though, anybody can be a journalist. There is no license here in the United States that allows us to be journalists. However, in the UK, that's a different story. And the reason why we don't have a license here is because if we did, the government can control what we said and investigate it. It's compromising our freedom of speech and our First Amendment. All right. But I felt that I really didn't know what I was doing. If I was going to actually really research things and look into it, or, do, opinion journalism or comedy journalism or whatever, I should probably know what I'm doing. And at least have some sort of integrity about it. Like, I don't always get it right. All right. And when I don't, I come out and tell you guys that I don't. Or tell the person, I'm sorry, I gave out misinformation about you. But in the case of Sarah Rachel Adams, I have not given you misinformation. And not only have I not giving you misinformation, but I also have not done crazy, like, fantasy things, like saying that she's a cyborg and is off by artificial intelligence. Because personally, I think Lauren Pritchard doing that basically just takes it away from everybody else who's actually really been stalked, harassed online, and threatened by Sarah Rachel Adams. I don't know. There's more than one person that's had that she has called Child Protective Services on, including Vanessa Bates and her daughter. That's Sarah's favorite thing to do, to try to harm somebody or shut them up, because that is what the intuitive healer psychic, that people are listening to about how to clear their auras. That is exactly what she has done and does do. Okay? All right? So, Sarah found me on TikTok. And, I still don't spend a whole lot of time on TikTok, and I'm pretty much new to TikTok. But I opened up my account over this Christmas. And just recently, I had uploaded, because I blocked her from every part of my social media. And I mean every part. And when you talk about, having somebody like really humiliate you and harass you online, she actually took pictures of me and made it look like I had a penis near my mouth and that it was coming in my face. And she didn't only do that to me, she did it to Carissa Renteria. All right, I always screw her name up, so I'm sorry. Whom I don't know. But for some reason, people think that we're working together or that I'm collaborating with people to do something for her. Let me tell you something, Sarah. You really cause me a lot of stress sometimes, especially when you came into my chat room and started saying that I had like threatened to rape you. And then you went to people in this media I saw because they showed me what you sent them, and you were trying to get them to do a show about that on their channels about me. You know what that is? That is malicious, trying to like get the media to do something to damage somebody's character. And that is not allowable by law. That is a lawsuit for slander. And yet you run around threatening them that you've got their lawyers on them and blah, blah, blah. Well, the latest is Lauren Pritchard, And so here's what Sarah said on TikTok. And I'm just, hi, Mark Solo. Nice to see you here. So I want to read for you like what she wrote. And look, really, this doesn't really bother me that much. It bothers me. But it doesn't bother me really, So, but it's enough to where, hey, Kevin Moore, hi, good to see you here. It bothers me enough to where I feel that you need to know that this stuff is going on. That when you see somebody, make comments, saying, and talking about something ridiculous, like, well, you're going to read it. I'm going to read it to you. You should have asked me straight up, and she stated she isn't friends with me, but you made up some story that isn't true. Okay. First of all, Sarah, if you ever listen to this, when you threaten, when you come into somebody's chat on their live stream and then send something out to other media hosts that I threatened to rape you, you don't exactly give me a warm, fuzzy feeling to come up and ask you questions about Lauren. And those are old videos. I'm telling you. I did these like what, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 months. I think that's pretty old. Like, to me, like anything between Sarah and Lauren has been pretty much talked about, and it's like we should just like go ahead and like move on. I did find some weird inconsistencies though between the two women in their relation, the way they were speaking on Facebook. I thought it was odd because I blocked Sarah everywhere. As a matter of fact, last night I blocked her on TikTok. She's the first person I've ever had to block on TikTok. So congratulations, Sarah, right? Because again, it seems like whatever little opening, I'm going to, probably be on Tumblr. I'm going to I'm going to revamp my linked account. I'm pretty sure, I should just maybe like give a BP to Sarah ahead of time. No, really, I should just try to find her ahead of time and then actually just like block her, basically. And I've done that before, but I just didn't think about TikTok. And the video that she left the messages on is actually has nothing to do with like this community. It was for my show. I wanted to have a special guest. What was it? The Swami from El Monte and Cookie the Psychic Dog. It's like a comedian. I'm trying to do something light, but he was sick that day. So he has to come back later. So here she is. I uploaded that to TikTok, and she's like talking about Lauren, and that I could just come and talk to her about it. Like, the door's open for me to have a conversation with her. Okay, so Sarah, the door is open for you to have a conversation with me. I'm opening the door for you to have a conversation with me on my YouTube channel, because I want to give you an opportunity to say, well, maybe I'm wrong, that Kevin Moore's, friend, assistant to his production wasn't doing your readings. I did not have that conversation. Is that right? Or I didn't see you trying to peddling some sort of like cure for, this. You know, I didn't. That wasn't you. You didn't. You and Taj didn't just like change that out too and swap and try to rewrite it again like it was like your essential oils, or is it wrong that have we all not watched you like try to peddle med beds on George Norrie or something like that? Was it George Norrie? It was something. There's some notable. I might be wrong on that. I got to double check that one. But we know that is what you've done. And we know that you actually charge a lot of money for psychic readings and healings and your advice and your service and whatever. And you have these, comic consciousness talks and whatever. Like you went from super soldier, you went from Max Spear's girlfriend, super soldier, out of the Basis Park project with Miles Johnston, right? To going in the media and spinning the story that you were actually in a relationship with Max Spears, that you were his fiance and you were going to have a baby. And not only were there articles in the paper about that, but there was articles in the paper how you felt that a group of Satanists were trying to murder Max based on your interaction with him. Right? Now, here's what you should really be wondering about with me, or actually really being paying attention to. It's subject matter that you seem to ignore every time I talk about it, but I think that's the real reason. Because you'd rather have some stupid Lauren Pritchard nut job shit on my TikTok than actually talk about this. And this is what I really, because here you go. Here's something that you say. Oh, I love this one. I seem to be getting this a lot lately. Your theories about me being friends with her are not true on any level. Before you make videos with claims, you need to do your research. Really? Why is it that all of a sudden, when I start busting the ass of some of the phoniness in this particular media, that I have these nut jobs, I'm going to call you nut jobs, really, leaving comments or whatever, or telling me that I need to do my research. I need to do my research. You need to do your research. Who says that just so blatantly when she can't find an answer for questions? Oh, well, that would be Carrie Cassidy. Ding, 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 ding. Or anybody, really, when they think that they can just go by and go, do your research. That's your answer. That's your answer to our question. Oh, you don't believe me? You need to do your research. Guess who else does that all the time? People that are hypnotized by it, like, are the booing on people are the worst. You need to do your research. You know what? Even if a person does need to do their research, do you think saying something like that is going to make that person want to do it even more? It's already a turnoff. If you want to convince people to believe what you believe in, or that there's a shred of truth, or they don't want to call you a tinfoil hat wearer, then you better come up with something besides other than do your research. But unfortunately for Sarah Adams, I do my research. And one thing that I did research into or notice was that, and I've done shows about this already, so if you want to study this, I'm making a Sarah Rachel Adam playlist because I don't want to be overly redundant. But you watch the first video that Miles Johnston does with Carrie Cassidy about Max's death. And Sandra DeRoy comes on that towards the end and says that Max had no relationship to Sarah whatsoever before his death. And basically said, not so much in those words, but she said that he was not with her still and that he was getting rid of toxic people in his life. And yet Sandra DeRoy and Taj were on the same show together and with Sean Atwood, and Taj is sitting there saying, oh, well, I'm Sarah Rachel Adams' manager. But he also was associated to Sandra in talking about Max's death. And Sandra did all these different videos, about how Miles Johnston, said, you better not go to Poland because they're going to break your pretty little face. And she's pointing a finger that Miles Johnston was involved with the death of Max. And then they tried to go on Sean Atwood's show and say that they had like Max was outing all these, child predators and that they had a list of people. But, Sean Atwood said, no, you can't do it because, we can't get, we don't want to name any names and, whatever. Right. But I have a problem. See, here's what I have a problem with, and I've gone over this over and over and over in my head. And like, even when I ask it, people are like, oh, it's like, I get a blank face, right? But when you hear about the details of Max's death, and they even said this on the show, his cell phone, the information on his cell phone was white because it fell in the bathtub, while, as Sarah says, sexting with each other because, they were in a relationship. They were going to be, she was his fiance, and they were going to have a baby together, right? All right. And then Max's mother wanted it back. Because, it doesn't matter if it got wet, the information should still be on the SIM phone. So she asked Monica Duvall to give it back to her. And I verified with Vanessa, and also, it was said on that show, on Sean Atwood's show, that it was mailed back to her in the center of a human sacrifice book, ritual human sacrifice book, and it was inside, and it was scratched. Somehow it got scratched. Right? So my question is, how could Sarah, if Sarah said that she was in a relationship with Max at that time and they were sexting at the time of that happened, and that's why the cell phone fell in the bathtub, then if she wasn't in a relationship with him, then how did that happen? How is she a part of that story? I mean, yeah, I could have still fallen in the bathtub, but it wasn't because of her, really. And yet, her testimony, or what she said, is a part of our collective belief on some level. Maybe some people don't really give a shit, but on some level, that's the narrative of what happened, and that is exactly what was said on Sean Atwood. It was talked about how it fell in the bathtub and blank. It didn't talk about the sexting, but a lot of us know that is the story. And if Sarah went to the paper, this is what you're really pissed off about, isn't it, Sarah? This is why you can't stop bothering me or harassing me on every level of my social media, and then come on my TikTok and talk about something that doesn't really matter. Right? Like, having somebody make up, wild fantasy stories about you does not compare to wondering why you have told this community something that's a complete lie. And we're supposed to be in something that is called the truth media. See, that's the part that bothers me. That's the part that bothers me. And I feel being in the truth media, because that's basically what I'm here doing too in my own way, right? I feel I'm obligated to point that out to people, that that's what you're doing. If you are not his fiance before he died, because you have gone out and done a lot of videos about how he was a drug addict and how you were taking care of him. And you've given this whole entire complete narrative that we should really question whether or not that's the truth. Right? Am I wrong here? If he was trying to get away from you before he died, and I know what I'm saying might sound really harsh, and you know what? If you hadn't done what you've done, I would have been sympathetic to the way you felt about that. But the fact that you've used it to your own advantage is disgusting to me. And that's what you need to be upset about me for saying. All right. And right now, I'm going to play a video of Max Spear's mother confirming what I'm saying about you not being with him before the time of his death. So let's listen to it. Oh, and let me just make sure I have OCD about stuff like this. Let me just make sure I have it right. Sorry. I do this all the time. I really want you to hear this.
Hi, Terry. I just wanted to respond to some of the things you'd said on your latest YouTube. The relationship with Max and Sarah was over before he went to Poland, and that was the end of it. He wanted to keep away from her, but was also very enmeshed with a mess that was going on in Poland. So I absolutely know that his relationship with Sarah was ended before he went. And I also know that, well, I don't know, but I don't believe he was sexting in the bath. It's highly unlikely, and I believe it was something quite other. So, no, I do not believe for 1 second that there was any reconciliation going on with Sarah and Max. Just final thought is that, of course, Taj did not know Max at all. And Sarah and Taj and their friendship began after Max was not with us anymore. Max would not have tolerated what went on with Sarah and Taj. That much I know, and that much Sarah knows. But no, Max was his own person, and what went on in Poland and the terrible events that led to his death were to do with the people in Poland.
All right, so I don't know, Sarah, is that enough? Is that good enough research for you on stuff, that we hear even from Max's mother that you were not in a relationship? I do want to make a correction though. Upon listening to that video, Vanessa has said that Max did know Taj, but their relationship was pretty limited. It was just kind of like they knew each other, they had some conversations or whatever. Probably pertaining to the Basis Project, I'm thinking. Sarah, that explains it all. Oh, bloody hell, did someone mess with the brandy again? No, I like, I was just like, like I said, I if you watch the video in its entirety, you'll see all kinds of different emotions and attitudes. But like, just for that second, I just got really heated up about that because, I guess it's emotionally charged for me. Like the deception about that really bothers me. I'm not talking about this. I mean, I know there's this argument, Max OD'd and that's it. And that's the final story. But what bothers me is this media telegraphed that before the the autopsy was even done, before they even found out what was in his bloodstream. I mean, like, there was, matter of fact, I did a video about it in the very beginning of like 2016, like weeks after his death. First in the first video, it was like, oh yeah, he was not on any medications, blah blah blah. Sarah says Stuart Swirler's wife might have given him something, but that was about it. And then like 3 weeks later, there James Rink put Mr. Super Soldier documentary. James Rink had a video of Max drooling at when they were at the first Super Soldier Summit. And then all of a sudden Miles has said, we're going to get the report back soon and we should find out that it'll be simple overdose like we expected. I'm like, what? Like, how did it go from that to that even before the media got it out? I think, and this is one reason why I got interested in journalism. I think that is the media doing something dirty. That's not really journalism. That's PR. That's public relations, really. When the media has taken upon itself to come out and say how something's going to turn out before the facts really come in. And not only to do that, but then to have contradictory media on top of it. That's opposite from each other. And that bothered me. I questioned it back then, which didn't really make friends for me at that time. And I think that, if we're going to sit here and we're going to talk, say, oh, we're seeking the truth and this and that, blah, 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 then we shouldn't allow those things to actually really happen, should we? Right? So those inconsistencies of this media talking about somebody's death that went all the way to the BBC and then, get exalted into this, another guru living in in Sedona, Arizona or wherever being like, all this kind of crap. When you run around underneath and just stalk everybody all over the place, because I'm not the only one. And there have been certain individuals that have suffered from what she's done more than me. There's more than one story out there about what she does. So, yeah, I feel like that's what I want to do. That's what I did, is to do some videos saying this is what I really think is going on here. And, Sarah, I am opening the door for you to answer these questions or these things I'm saying about you. I mean, if you're going to make allegations that I threatened to rape you, and then send that out in a press junket to a few people, basically, so that maybe they do a story about it. And I'm going to be here on my media talking about you and what I think is not, ethical or whatever, or I have questions about your real relationship to him at the time of his death. And if so, what would be the motivation to make up the fact that you were part of the cell phone being dropped? How do we really know that you're even how are any of these people legitimate super soldiers or have really been, any of it's even real? And don't give me the answer that, oh, do your research. I mean, when you're really looking for something, basically everybody's just given some sort of testimony. And then they've all hybrided into this, LARP of already conspiracies or work that's already been done, and then attach themselves to those stories, right? And they're making some pretty damn money doing it. But at this point, they've actually meddled with the facts of a suspicious death. And that's kind of criminal, really. And it certainly doesn't feel spiritual or honest. I mean, shouldn't we have some honesty in our spirituality? Or is that just passe like the 90s and Alanis Morissette? All right, on that note, I should probably see what you guys got in here. Did you see the Night Doc's companion to the Okie story? It's hilarious. No! Where can I see that? Yeah, we're friends on Twitter, aren't we? Or whatever. Or maybe I'll just hit you up. Just show me where to see that. I want to see it. Oh, Kevin Moore. In relation to, okay, good. Okay, first. I know it's not related to Sarah. I saw your coverage of Joanne Richards the other day. And, okay. even though a mistake was made in the sense that Joanne is not divorced yet, but in the end, that was the best thing as I got to see where Joanne stands in 2022. Okay. All right, yeah, okay, that's in reference to, because on that coverage, I mentioned I had information. I thought I had information that she was going to be divorced. And Joanne Richards, who's married to Captain Mark Richards, was going to get a divorce, and that she was going to sell the house. And there was, and that Carrie Cassidy and Mark Richards weren't doing any shows together because she didn't agree with the 17th letter of the alphabet. And wait, one more thing. And he didn't think that John F. Kennedy Jr. was alive. And apparently none of that is exactly correct. She's not getting divorced. She is on in Oregon because of family and the COVID time, and wanted to be up there with her daughter, I think, and is not selling the house, and she just implied this: it wasn't over the 17th letter of the alphabet or JFK Jr. It was about, but sometimes they don't get along about certain topics, but that the main reason that Carrie wasn't doing any more shows with him was because of the pandemic and being able to get access to being inside the jail or the prison. So I did a video recently, like I mentioned it in the show, and then I did a video recently and I corrected my mistake. Charles Unleashed is here. I want to read more Charles. What is Richard going to do with the house anyways? Right. Well, okay. Here's what I've learned. This is a fact. I'm pretty sure is that Joanne was the caretaker for Joanne was the caretaker for his mom, Mark Richards' mom. And she reiterates that she married Mark while she was his mother's caretaker. So, I don't know if she was a live-in caretaker or what, but she married him while he was in prison. I to be honest with you, the whole marrying somebody in a prison thing just never really got me. I was shocked when the Melendez brothers got married. I was like, what? I used to have a joke like, well, if the Melendez brothers can get married, there's hope for me. You know what I mean? It's like, maybe I'll find my Prince Charming too. It's like, it's like why? But I guess that's a thing for some women. I mean, maybe they just they prefer the man not to be around. Yeah, I'm married. Yeah, I'm married. Yeah, I'm getting some sort of estate, but I don't really want to have to see him or talk to him too much. I don't know. Okay, we will put Kevin Moore. We will put all cards on the table between us, Terry, during our Mark Richards interview, including my assistant and other people I work with, my behavior and the journey this docuseries took me on. Okay. Yeah, and you know what? I mean, I would love to do that, and maybe we can do even some more shows, or maybe you can come on here or in a private or whatever, because I guess I'm kind of peripherally involved, right? It's like because and ironically, Sarah connected us. See, so Sarah has been it's like I said, when I say I have a history with her, I have a history with her. It's like it goes around. His other wife, Big Harry Bubs, is getting out first. He takes real good care of him. I love your sense of humor, Charles. It's funny. Not the most healthy relationship. Well, yeah. I don't know. I guess maybe that works for some people. And I don't know. It just, she goes to the different conventions and represents him and stuff and speaks on his behalf. we've never really seen any real interview of him with footage because apparently that's not allowed. And we just have to go on blind faith that when, Carrie Cassidy sits in front of a camera and it tells us the story of their conversation based on memory. Because I thought in the very beginning she wasn't even allowed to bring a pen or write anything down. And then I don't know if this is a rumor or not, but I remember there was like one time where she couldn't get in because they didn't like the top she was wearing. Like maybe it was too revealing or something. I don't know. So, all right. And I guess like, I think I'm going to wrap it up here pretty soon because I am back in school. So, and I had this idea in my head where I was like, Sarah, last year you bothered me and, I did, but I had all fun classes, right? This year I have math 45, so don't fuck with me, right? It's like I can't take in we have a semester where you're pretty good at those things, it's not too hard to do well in them. But when you have a semester where you're like, I'm not so good at math, it's going to take me more time, maybe have to have a tutor, then that's like where I'm like, so anyway. Not that I'm afraid of failing. I'm just afraid of like ruining my grade point average. So it's all vanity anyways, right? Okay. The Splenda packets. They're like, again, like in comparison to Alec Baldwin, the Splenda packets has overridden in the general public, has become more of a focus point for people than the actual circumstances around what's going on with him. Like apparently we're now at the point where he he asked for a different gun, a bigger gun than the one that he was originally using. When he shot the gun, he thought she fainted, which I don't really understand how that can happen when you're on a set. Like the sound does happen. I think a gun makes noise. So if somebody collapsed with the gun and whatever, you would think you would just go, oh, did she just faint? Like I didn't just shoot the cinematographer. Like okay, so. You have that scenario, and again, I probably sound like I'm just as angry at Alec Baldwin as I am with Sarah Rachel Adams, but maybe not. But I'm just questioning those things, right? And then the whole thing about the Splenda packet, it's like, how many words can you write on a Splenda packet? Like all that information, like, well, it was on a Splenda packet, it was on both things. They lost the Splenda packet. That young lady that's out there that is, I think she's a high school student or maybe she's in college, but she was with their other guy that was around her age too, and just, isn't it kind of a little bit creepy too? It was like he had to like make it a point that she was like a college student. Like, what does that mean? Does it mean more because somebody has faith in you that's actually maybe a college, a high school student, and she writes it on a Splenda packet? Like, why? Like, he's like, hey, that girl out there, I lost your Splenda packet, but you know what? If you give me a call, find me, I'm Alex, right? I mean, I'm adding my own part to it, but he's out there pleading for her to find him like it's the freaking, like it's not a glass slipper anymore. It's a Splenda packet. Like, it's like, is Hilaria, right? Is she, no, what's her name? His wife's name is Hilaria, right? Isn't it? Wait, what is his wife's name? Anyway, the one who doesn't know how to spell cucumber in English. Who lives in who grew up in Massachusetts or something like that. It's like, who are these people in a way? You're like, who are these people? And, I'm not saying that because, he made fun of Tangerine Jesus, which is a new term I heard. I didn't know that they had called him Tangerine Jesus. I read that on Meta today. Like, my question is like, why a Splenda packet? Like, you have to write so tiny, like tiny. And then, of course you had to turn it over on the other side. And there's already print on it. And is the ink going to go through the Splenda packet and like make the whatever that synthetic, whatever it is that you put in your coffee that, like, is it going to make it all clumpy and everything like that? Or can you use the Splenda after you write on it? These are the questions I have. I mean, what? Like a napkin isn't okay anymore? A napkin's not good enough? Like what would it would have been different if she gave Alec Baldwin a napkin Like it was just, oh, Alec Baldwin here, not a Splenda packet, but a napkin, right? And then he was like, oh, and then they'd be like, I'm sorry, I blew my nose in it, and the words bled, and I can't read it. Oh, that high school student out there, can you please find me? I've got it all wrapped up in a tissue. I guess it doesn't work as good, does it? Hi, Jeff. Hi, Jeff. It's good to see you here. And then, hi, hey, Kevin Moore show just got here. Stephen Ronan, you're late. Oh, that's okay. You'll catch the other part, right? I think. Okay. And then Charles, the napkin doesn't come with its own gift. Oh, okay, yeah, right. Wait, let me read that again. The napkin doesn't come with its own gift. Yeah. Ew. I don't know. So, unfortunately, Stephen, I'm going to go. I've got to actually go. But at the end, I was going to play something to show you the nasty graphics that she had on my Instagram, but I don't feel like ending the show that way. So I think I'm just going to go out with the same Alanis Morissette song that I started with in case you missed it. So maybe I'll just... So just to let you know, before I go, that now that I am in school again, I'm still going to try to do at least one live stream a week and one podcast for the Anchor show. And this week, it's probably going to be more because there's a couple other topics that I want to go into more detail. And this one was kind of spontaneous. But I always enjoy seeing you guys in the chat and interacting because it's kind of like, connecting with friends again. Not to be sappy or anything like that. So until next time, God bless and take care. And I'll go ahead and share my screen. Oh, that's not it. That wasn't it. Sorry. I'm not. No, not that one. No, that probably. No. Okay, this one. This one.
Do I stress you out? My sweater is on backwards and inside out, and you say, how appropriate. I don't want to dissect everything today. I don't mean to pick you apart, you see, but I can't help it.
Oh, one more thing. The highlight of today's show is Glory Portal.
And there I go, jumping before the gunshot has gone off. Slapped me with the splintered ruler, and it would knock me to the floor if I wasn't there already. If only I could hunt the hunter. And all I really want is some patience, a way to calm the angry lives. And all I really want is deliverance. Do I wear you out? You must wonder why I'm relentless and all strung out. I'm consumed by the chill of solitary. I'm like a Stella. I like to reel it in and then spit it out. I'm frustrated by your apathy. And I am frightened by the corrupted ways of this land. If only I could meet the maker. And I am fascinated by the spiritual man. I'm humbled by his humble nature. Yeah. And so late. Someone else to catch this drift. And what I wouldn't give to meet a kindred. Oh, 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 oh. Enough about me. Let's talk about you for a minute. Enough about you. Let's talk about life for a while. The conflicts, the craziness, and the sound of pretense is falling all around. All around. Why are you so petrified of silence? Here, can you handle this? Did you think about your bills, your ex, your deadlines? Or when you think you're gonna die? Or did you long for the next distraction? And all I need now is intellectual intercourse. A soul that they could hold much deeper. And I have no concept of time other than it is playing. If only I could kill the killer. And all I really want is some peace, man. A place to find a common ground. And all I really want is a way to think. Oh, 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 oh.